Hello, everyone, and welcome. From the time we're small children, we're taught to discern and follow God's will in our lives. It's the golden bar. Follow the will of God. In fact, among the first words of prayer we learn is the phrase, Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And as we grow and mature in our spirituality, we seek to discern and follow God's will. Well, that's all great in theory, but God seldom leaves us detailed messages saying, here's what I want you to do. What is God's will? What is it really? I often roll my eyes at preachers who pretend they know what God wants. But come on, really? Who among us knows the mind of God? Albert Einstein is reported to have said he wanted only to know the mind of God. When I was a young man, I thought, what an inspirational pursuit. I want to dedicate my life to knowing the mind of God. Now that I'm older, I'm convinced Einstein was being facetious. He was joking. Even Einstein, one of the biggest brains in human history, knew he could not know the unknowable. But tucked away in the 17th chapter of John's Gospel, we're given a window. We're given Christ's words of prayer for us. This doesn't tell us what God wants from us, but it tells us what Christ, God's own Son, wants for us. Unity, oneness, harmony. Christ prays that they may all be one as you, Father, are in me and I in you, that they also may be in us. He goes on, and I have given them the glory you gave me, so that they may be one as we are one, I in them and you in me, that they may be brought to perfection as one. If we're sincere about our own prayer to do God's will, if we really mean it, then we have to consider our own lives in this context. Are we opening our lives to be instruments of answer to Christ's prayer? Think about that. Do we ask God to use us to answer the prayer of his Son? We might think about that. Are we seeking common ground, building bridges, and looking for ways to live in unity and communion as one with all God's people? Many parts, one body, St. Paul writes. Or do we jump into the argument, feeding the passions that divide people? If so, we have to come to terms with this reality that this is not from God. Let us be inspired by the prayer of Jesus. Let us seek to be one with our Creator, one with each other, and one with all God's creation. May the peace and harmony of God's holy oneness rain down upon you. May the peace and harmony of God's holy oneness stir the heart within you. And may the peace and harmony of God's holy oneness flow forth from you. Peace be with you. Have a great week.